Longbox Review, episode 22. Hi, this is Eric from Longbox Review at longboxreview.wordpress.com.
Hey there, this is Travis from Oddfellows Thoughts at oddfellowsthoughts.wordpress.com.
And Travis and I are back for our part 2 of our look at the first 6 months of the new 52 from DC Comics. The last time we talked about these issues or these titles, we covered the Justice League family of titles, the Batman family, and the Superman family of titles. And this time, we're going to talk about our thoughts on the Green Lantern, Young Justice, the Edge, and the Dark categories. So let's get right to it, Travis. Green Lantern family. This ought to be quick. We'll start off with Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Have you read any of the Green Lantern titles?
No.
None of them?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. So I'll just listen to you talk.
Oh, right. Well,
and I'll try not to groan a whole bunch.
All righty. Let's see. Well, I'll just do this as quickly as I can. Green Lantern. While I thought, and we mentioned this when we talked, I mentioned this when we talked about the number 1 issues that we did a while ago. This was not the best example of a jumping on point for new readers comic. It was a great continuation of the Green Lantern story that we had gotten before the relaunch, and I have been enjoying this very much. I love the focus on Sinestro as a Green Lantern, as a reluctant Green Lantern, and everything that Hal Jordan is going through because of that. It's been a great story. It's been a great story ever since Johns has been writing it, starting back in 2005 with Green Lantern Rebirth. I look forward to the next story arc. I will be getting this for the foreseeable future. Next is Green Lantern Corps. I didn't get that. I didn't even try number 1. I like the characters of John Stewart and what's his name, Travis?
Guy Gardner?
Guy Gardner, yeah.
See, that would have been the book I would have picked up if I was going to pick one up.
Yeah, I figured that would be the case. So why didn't you?
I really don't have that much interest in the Green Lantern stuff.
Ah, okay.
I don't. It doesn't. It's another one of those things that doesn't appeal a whole lot to me.
Yeah. Well,
the only reason I know as much as I do about Green Lantern, most of that comes from the fact is that for a long time, way back in the day, he was teamed up and tied to Green Arrow, and so therefore that's why I know as much as I do.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't get this. Have no interest in getting it. I've heard that out of the 3 Green Lantern titles in this category, that is probably the lesser of the 3, just based on some other folks that I listen to on other podcasts who talk about these things. Next up is Green Lantern New Guardians. I was really excited about this, Travis. I like the idea of each of the colored corps having a representative and their adventures together and to find out what's going on. But unfortunately, I dropped this after issue 6 because it was a bit of a disappointment. Again, it was like this really cool concept that was not executed well.
Yeah.
And I didn't really care for the art in it as well. So I will not be getting this anymore. Red Lanterns. When that was first announced, this is well before the relaunch. When they announced that they'd come out with a Red Lantern style, I think they just held on to it until the relaunch. And again, I really enjoyed the Red Lantern representative that was introduced in, or that we saw in the Green Lantern title, and then the other thing. I can't remember if it was in Blackest Night or if it was Brightest Day. Atrocitus was definitely in Brightest Day. I just can't remember if it was in Blackest Night. Anyway, regardless, I like Atrocitus. I was really, it's the Red Lanterns. They're the ones full of rage, and sometimes I have that problem. So I really identify with the rage-filled lanterns at times. So but again, this and plus Peter Milligan was on board to
Right,
write it. So
right. Which
we
would have been the only reason I would have been on board with this book.
yeah.
And at the last moment, I said, no, I'm buying way too many of these 52 titles anyway. So,
Yeah, well, I'll tell you right now, you have not missed anything. This has
yeah.
been a huge disappointment, and I'm surprised that I lasted 6 issues. So there you go. That's Green Lantern. One great book out of four, according to me. All
Yeah.
right, let's move on to something that I think you will have more comments about. Young Justice. And first up is Teen Titans.
Yeah, I'm disappointed with this book. I don't care for it. As a matter of fact, I just did my comic book order, and I dropped this title.
Really?
Yep.
And why is that?
It didn't have anything for me. I didn't find it that interesting. I don't. The characters to me aren't compelling. Um, I mean, my only investment in the book was the fact is it was the Teen Titans,
Hmm.
and there's nothing about the characters. There's nothing about the way the characters portrayed in this book made me interested in them to continue forward. As a matter of fact, Superboy, who's not even a member of the team yet, was the most interesting character in the book
Ooh,
for me.
yeah,
So I'm done with it. There are
yeah.
things about the book I like. I actually like the new Wonder Girl.
Hmm.
You know, she's somewhat interesting. But yeah, beyond that, I mean, I don't see enough of her, and all she does is punch things now. So I don't know.
Well, I think she does a little bit more than just punch things, but
Yeah, but it just feels like the book is going nowhere fast. I mean, just there's nothing to it.
well, nowhere. That's funny. Is it nowhere the
Yeah.
group that's after
Yes,
the kids?
it is. It is.
Was that intentional?
I mean, kind of.
All right.
But I just don't know. It's just not. It's not. There's. Yeah, I mean, whatever. It does, and the story doesn't make sense to me. The story doesn't make sense to me. If there's somebody snatching up all the metahuman kids, why in the world is Tim Drake just taking us on by himself? If he's got a phone number, which he implies in the last issue I read, if he's got a phone number to the Justice League, seriously, the Justice League couldn't find somebody else to help them figure out who it is that's snatching up all the metahuman kids?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Do you think the Justice League wouldn't be interested in something like that?
Come on.
Yeah.
So
You're right. You're right. I've been enjoying this. This is one of those titles. Again, there's been a few titles that we talked about last time where I was surprised at how much I actually enjoyed them, and this is one of them.
yeah.
The last few Teen Titans incarnations I haven't really been into. They didn't hold my interest. I dropped them at various points, and so I was really leery of this title, and especially since who the artist is. I haven't been a huge fan of his work, although I have to say I've really been enjoying his work on this title. So. That worked out. I'm not I like you. That whole nowhere thing and um, Robin. Red Robin, I guess. And don't get me started on that whole Red Robin crap. Um, him doing this, it kind of stretches plausibility, but at the same time, I'm willing to suspend my disbelief because I am enjoying this. I do like the interaction between the characters. Cassie, the Wonder Girl, has been my favorite so far. Of the new characters that were introduced, oh gosh,
Bunker,
Bunker,
Skitter.
yeah. Bunker, I'm liking more. I didn't like him at first.
Yeah, he's the new Beast Boy.
Then yeah, you're right. He is the new Beast Boy of this group. That's true. I the other two, well, Skitter and gosh,
The new version of Solstice.
Solstice. Oh god, man, you know what? I think comics all the time, and whenever we get together, Travis, and I start talking about them, all that knowledge just seems to fly out of my brain.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I like the new Solstice. I particularly enjoyed her in the previous incarnation, but now that they've changed her a little bit here, I'm really intrigued to see, why she's this way as opposed to what she was, although that may have nothing to do with what they're going to tell in this, the new 52 version of this title. But, just for me, seeing that comparison, that contrast between these two versions of the same named character, I'm really curious to see what they're going to do with her. I don't, so
Do you
far.
think they're even going to tell us anything about her?
Well, eventually we'll get some backstory for this character,
Really?
sure. Why not?
I don't know why not, but it doesn't strike me as that we're going to. I don't know. I just think they're going to be these secondary characters that we're never really going to. I don't know.
I bet we will.
It seems to me like that if she wasn't this and they break out of this place and there seems to be little concern, nor does she even have any concern. Oh, the fact is that she's completely. I mean, they imply that she's completely screwed up from what she used to be. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, but so the other new character, Skitter, I think that she is a victim in my mind of they really haven't done anything with her. They just showed her,
Yeah,
and that's it. She doesn't even really have much in the way of dialogue. So for me, she's a waste of a character right now. So I'm not all that keen on her. But I am, and like I said, I'm enjoying it. I'm still getting it. They're doing that culling storyline between Superboy and Legion Lost. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays into the whole the Nowhere group coming after the kids. Hopefully we move past that soon. I'm hoping that the second year of this title, goes somewhere else than that storyline.
Oh.
Because there will be a second year.
I'm dropping it right before the whole claim thing, and I'm not getting anything that has anything to do with it.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, that's enough Teen Titans. Let's move to Static Shock.
Well, we know how that went, huh?
Yeah, unfortunately. Right? Do you think that's true? Is it unfortunate that this got canceled? Because you were getting that title.
No. Do I think it's unfortunate that this title got canceled? No. Do I think it's unfortunate that the character didn't get better treatment? Yes.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I think it's a cool character. I think that Static is a cool character. It has an appeal. I think you could sell the book to all those kids who were fans of the cartoon, because those kids have to be, I don't know, late teens now, mm-hmm. I think. Somewhere there. I mean, my kid watched it, but he watched the reruns. Yeah, I think it's really unfortunate that the book couldn't make it. But it didn't. It is. I don't think it's the character. I don't think it's the character and whatnot. I think it's that it wasn't a good book.
Mm-hmm.
So it needed to be canceled and replaced with something else because it wasn't a good book.
Okay. Yeah, and I didn't even read it. I didn't even pick up number 1, so I was going off of your review of it.
Yeah.
All right. Now the roles are reversed because we go to Hawk and Dove, and I know you didn't get that.
Hell no.
And I did, of course, because if anyone who's
sick.
If anyone who's followed this podcast or read stuff on my blog, I love Hawk and Dove, especially Dove. So I got this, but it was with a lot of trepidation because of who the artist was. Mr. Liefeld, coming back to characters that he first helped launch back in the late 80s, I think it was, for that first Hawk and Dove miniseries they worked on.
Yeah.
Boy, this was a chore, Travis, to get through. Canceled after 8 issues. I can see why. But you know what? Going into this, I knew that this title would not last long. I just hoped that we'd get, maybe a year's worth, maybe some good stories. To what?
A quality trade out of it, at least.
Yeah, maybe a quality. Yeah, I don't think you'll get a quality trade out of this either. But yeah, it was nice to see Dove back. Hawk has always been a secondary of mine between these two characters. So I don't really care what happens to that character unless it somehow relates to Dove. But there you go. So much wasted potential. Anyway. Speaking of wasted potential, Blue Beetle.
Hey, well, yeah, definitely.
I dropped this after 6 issues.
Yeah, I'm still getting it, but I'm getting it and complaining about it every issue I read. So, um, they're basically what they're doing is they're retelling the story that they told over, 24 plus issues in the last version of the Jimmy Reyes Blue Beetle.
Mm-hmm.
And they've tweaked a few things in it, and then they've crammed it all down into 6 issues, which I guess I can appreciate. Normally I'd appreciate them condensing it down so it doesn't take us so long to tell all that stuff, but they're not telling it in a good way. And the last incarnation of this series was charming. The character's a lot of fun. Serious stuff happens to him, but he's a lot of fun. This version, there's nothing fun about the character, or anything. I kind of got the impression. I read something on Bleeding Cool that they're going to be adding some people to the Young Justice TV show, and in that article they mentioned that one's a character that hasn't been used in I can't remember how long, and one's a character from a title that's been canceled.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't find anything, and then so it's Laguna Boy and Blue Beetle, the people they say are going to be going to end up coming to the TV show.
Oh, okay.
But I can't find anything that says the Blue Beetle was canceled. Have you seen anything that says it's canceled?
The title itself?
Yeah.
No, I mean they solicited issue 9 just recently.
Yeah. So I don't know. What I was confused by that article. But anyway, I'm still getting this book somewhat regrettably. I'm hoping that we're going to turn a corner and move past the past,
mm-hmm.
and move on with the future. There's some potentials here. I'm really disappointed all the way around because it felt like that reading the articles, talking to the writers before the book came out, it seemed like they got it. It seemed like they kind of understood the character and what people liked about the character, but they haven't executed any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, yeah, definitely, because I just didn't connect with this title. I got 6 issues again, hoping because I like the concept of the Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle.
Yeah,
I like the armor. I like the conflict between him and the armor. Because the armor has a programming and there's something wrong with it, so he's able to, he has more of a consciousness involved when the armor's active. So I like that aspect of it. I love the idea that there's the blue wherever the beetle thing comes from, whatever that's called, I can't remember offhand. And the conflict between that group and the Green Lantern Corps, I think that's an interesting idea. And I know that the Reach.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you have that coming up. I think that's even solicited for issue 9. They talk about that the Blue Beetle versus which Kyle Rayner's Green Lantern. So that's coming up. But yeah, this is the wrong kind of origin story, I guess, for me. It just didn't really hold my interest, which is unfortunate because, like I said, I like this character, I like this concept, but it just wasn't there.
Yeah. Well, I think I think the book's a huge mistake. It's a mistake because whereas obviously I don't want to read a book that is the incarnate of the Blue Beetle that was on the Brave and the Bold TV show, because I mean that's too cute and goofy,
too campy.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's part of your audience. There's part of your new audience if you're trying for a new audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the people the kids who are watching that. They can go, oh look, there's a Blue Beetle. That kid was kind of fun or whatever. That might be something I want to look at. And like I said, there hasn't been, except for a few lines in the first issue, there has been nothing that's been fun about this book. It's just been not even a good train wreck. It's just been, train wreck's not the right word for it, but it's just, it's missing the stuff that it should. This is a book that should have some charm to it, and it doesn't have any of that.
Yeah, you're
There's
right.
no fun in it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Speaking of no fun, here's the next one in the Young Justice line, Legion of Superheroes. Did you read that?
No, didn't even pick up a single.
Yeah. So you know me, I'm a huge Legion fan. I have been for forever.
Yep.
But and then so before the New 52 was announced, they brought back the Legion with Paul Levitz in the writing seat. And I was all excited about that. Paul Levitz did one of the best runs of the Legion of Superheroes that I remember. But man, that was a tough ride for me then. And then okay, so New 52 announcement, they're going to relaunch Legion of Superheroes again, but with Paul Levitz still writing it. And I thought, well, maybe they'll change some things up, being the New 52 and all. But no, it was, it's like some of the other titles like Batman and Green Lantern, where it's like, you know what, this isn't broke, so we're not going to fix it. Although they really could have fixed something here, because the Legion of Superheroes has been nothing but a disappointment, nothing but there's nothing to care about in this book. I love these characters, I love the concept, but Paul Levitz, I don't know if it's he's lost the magic, or which no, that's not true, because we both read the Huntress miniseries and enjoyed that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty darn good written story, and yet I turned to the Legion of Superheroes and it's like ugh, blech.
I think he spent himself on that book back when it was great before,
Mm-hmm.
and I just don't. I mean, I think he's trying to, instead of come up with something new or tell something new and interesting. I think you're trying to recapture something.
But that's just it. He's not recapturing anything. It's just
but I don't think he can.
Well,
I don't think he knows how to.
But I don't even think he's trying to do that. It's just he's just telling these blasé stories about these characters. And while I enjoyed the introduction of some new characters that were introduced in the Adventure Comics run,
right?
They brought them into the Legion as full members with this relaunch. While they were kind of interesting in the Adventure Comics run, they're not in this. It's just like this is like this black hole of good characterization that this title is. So I'm so disappointed.
I don't know anybody who's getting the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, somebody's buying it because it's still here.
Well, obviously.
All right, enough on that. Legion Lost. I dropped this after 2 issues.
Yep,
and that's only because I had pre-ordered. Once I read number 1, I knew I was out.
Yep, same here.
I mean, I mentioned before, I'll get that's part of the culling storyline that's going through 3 titles, so I'll get that 1 issue, but there's nothing there that was interesting to me.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I wanted to be interested in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Yeah.
Was not good.
I imagine that title will be canceled sometime soon, is my guess. All right, enough for Young Justice. Let's go to The Edge, which is that's just a weird category title to me for some of the actual titles that are a part of The Edge. I mean, is there anything in here that's really edgy to you, Travis? That's part of this line?
No.
Yeah, I don't get it. So, but whatever. So let's go. Stormwatch.
I'm getting it. Still getting it.
Uh-huh.
It's interesting. There's characters in it I like, and we finally resolved the last plot line, and now it's moving forward. I'll give it this. It was the first of the books these teen books that I read that are starting out where they have defined some stuff. They defined who's the leader. Somebody went, I'm the leader, and this is our goals. Now, granted, I can't remember what those goals are off the top of my head, but they actually stated. I mean, so I'm excited about that. So I'm excited for the book moving forward. There was some stuff that was cool about the first 5 issues, and some that I was kind of like, okay, can we just get past this? So I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming next, and Milligan's going to be coming on the book, so we'll see what happens with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I particularly, this was one of my top books when we read the first issues of these titles.
Uh-huh.
I was just Paul Cornell working on this was did a really good job, I think, on that. I mean, that the art, of course, didn't hurt, because that was a good good art in that book.
Mm-hmm.
Great concepts coming in. Kind of like the high concept science fiction-y type stuff. So I really enjoyed that. But as it went on, it's like it's okay, but it's not really grabbing me. And then when they announced that Paul Cornell would not be on the title after
Uh-huh.
6, it's like, well, he was kind of the draw to me. So, and I know he was out there doing interviews trying to do kind of sort of damage control, saying, oh no, I'm working with Peter, and it's not going to be, you're not going to see a huge change in direction or characterization or anything. But for me, it was like, this is a good jumping off point. So, although I've been reading some of the solicitations for over the past few months for 7, 8, 9, and it's like maybe I'll regret that decision.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I guess you can let me know if you continue with it.
I will.
Okay, Grifter. I didn't get that.
I got issue number 1 and regretted spending the money on it.
How was that title not canceled?
Well, it's obviously a grand title because of the people who are going to be taking over on it, right? Isn't this another? No, it's not. Take it back. I was thinking this is another one that Jeff Lobel was going to be jumping on, but I don't know. I don't know how this isn't canceled.
Yeah.
There must be enough Stormwatch people out there to maintain the sales, right? Not Stormwatch, but Wildstorm people.
Wildstorm, yeah. Yeah, that I figured the same thing. So
I don't know if our friend that does the Leonard Snark's gun, I don't know if he's still collecting this. I know he originally was, and he was actually liking it, and I was kind of wondering if he was reading a different book than me. But
well, maybe he'll let us know what the appeal is there.
Yeah, because I didn't care for the first issue, and I didn't give it a chance past that. So.
Yeah, me either. Deathstroke, also another title I did not get.
Didn't pick it up.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to get through this category fairly quickly, it sounds like. Suicide Squad.
Edgy.
What?
We're just not edgy. That's the problem.
Yeah, we're not edgy enough. That's right.
I picked up the first couple issues of Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like the characterization of the people in it, so I quit getting it.
Oh, really? Yep. See, this is again.
I have a defined. This is how these people should be, and I don't like the relaunch of them. I don't like the relaunch of Deadshot.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I am facial hair biased once again, like I've said before. But him not having the stash just kind of takes some of his charm away from him. And I don't like Harley Quinn. What little bit that I saw of Harley Quinn in those first couple issues, and I like some of the ideas of what they might have going to do with King Shark, but I didn't know. So,
well, this is one of those titles that I was very surprised at my reaction to it, my positive reaction to it, because I thought for sure, because like you, I was very enamored with the characterization of some of these characters before the relaunch, especially Deadshot. But I found myself as I'm reading this going, there was enough in issue 1 to make me go, I want to read issue 2. There was enough in 2, to get me to 3, and it's been like that every month. The characterization difference especially for Deadshot, yeah, that's big, a big difference between how he was and how he is now.
Yeah.
But you need that. You need to have a character that's not like he was. I mean, if you're going to use Deadshot as your basically your main character, which he is in this current storyline, he needs to be less dickish than he was to keep your interest, I think, in telling us a story about characters who have moral quandaries about what they're doing and why they're doing it. Harley Quinn is somewhat interesting. I'm not so big on. I didn't have such a hang up as some people do about how she was portrayed before, because I didn't read a whole lot with Harley Quinn in the comics. Mostly what I know of Harley Quinn has been from the animated series, which I don't count those. They're not equal to me in my mind, the comics and the animated series.
Right. Oh, sure.
So it's not that big of a deal to me, the change that's been done to her. King Shark is not as funny as he was. That's the only thing I'll say about him. But there have been a couple new characters brought in. I can't remember the guy that does the fire. He's tattooed and he does fire. I think it's Diablo.
Diablo isn't Diablo or something like that.
He's actually I really like that character. He's very much I'm here because of my sins, and we don't have to be these animals that they expect us to be. And I like that concept. I like that characterization. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm as long as they keep every month. This is very much a every month. Am I getting this next month title? But it's just enough to keep me getting it. So. Let's see. Next is OMAC, which is one of the 6 canceled titles.
Yep.
I read number 1. You didn't pick it up?
No.
Yeah, you know what? I heard that this was one of those titles that actually was a lot of fun to read if you got the 2 and on. I actually did enjoy the number 1 issue, but again, it wasn't enough to make me get more. So I might go pick up the trade of this just to read it.
That's what I heard a lot of people just comment on the fact that it was a fun comic,
Mm-hmm.
that it was just kind of a big, romp and a bash and whatnot, like, some of the old school, type things and whatnot. So, it's, but not for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying anything with Dan's name on it.
Ah, okay. That's right. Vote with your wallet, Travis.
That's right.
All right. The next 2 titles, if I remember correctly, Travis, neither of us picked up number 1, Blackhawks and Men of War.
Nope.
Yeah. And so then now those quote unquote war titles have been replaced with, is it GI Combat that's coming out?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So enough said about those. They didn't interest us, and we didn't even get past, or didn't even get issue 1. So there you go. Voodoo.
Well, of course, I got the first, 4 issues. I quit collecting it once I heard the writer was stepping off the book, and then
Ron Mars.
I quit
Mm-hmm.
getting it. And,
you know what?
I heard that
I'm still getting this actually,
Uh-huh.
mostly for the wonderful Sammy Basri art. The guy it's pretty art, and I'm not talking about the female characters or the anatomy or whatever they show or don't show. I'm just talking about he has a really clean, accessible line of art.
Agreed.
So it's mostly that. I still I'm going back to our best of 2011 episode. I chose the color artist as my favorite color artist for 2011 for the work on Voodoo. So, that contributes to it. So between Basri and the color artist, whose name I've forgotten, I apologize. The art in this book is just, I think, is really good. Now, back to the story itself. Ron Mars is no longer on it, but the new guy, whose name I don't remember either, I've enjoyed it. I'm really liking the story now. It's finally got past that first few issues hump of she's, I don't know, I'm not even sure how to describe it. She's being hunted now. She's starting to realize that not everything is as she thought it was. She's starting to doubt her mission. You find out there's a big reveal, I think, in issue 5, maybe 4. Travis, did you read the thing where the U.S. military has captured something? I won't say what. Did you see that in the 4 issues that you read?
I saw the one where she breaks into the facility.
Yes, and sees
the facility, gets some information and finds out that
Okay, so that must have been 4.
Yeah.
So anyway, truth be told, I did decide to drop this after issue 6, and I did not order number 7. But then once I read, I think maybe it was 4 or 5. I can't remember which one it was then. But then I reversed my decision. So I am going to go pick up issue number 7 independently. But I'm still getting this one. Anything else you want to say about Voodoo?
Nope.
All right. Final title in the Edge, All-Star Western.
I'm getting this book.
You're still getting it?
Yeah, I've been enjoying it. Um, I like the kind of different art style of it and whatnot. I like the Jonah Hex character. Um, yeah, the story's been kind of entertaining and amusing and whatnot. So it's had some slow points in it. Now it's got the backup story. Um, this first backup story, second backup story, I guess, ended pretty cool.
Talking about the Barbary Ghost one?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I like that.
yeah. So yeah, I'm enjoying this title as a whole. I think I'm getting my money's worth out of it because of course it's one of the books that costs more. But yeah, I've just been enjoying it. I mean, I don't know that it's like exceptional that I need to rave and rave about it, but
Mm-hmm.
there are bits and pieces of it. I love the covers. The covers of these books are just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's been a fun read.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the ones that I dropped after issue 6, but it wasn't like a bad thing or a bad title or anything. It's just, I need to save some money somewhere, and it wasn't quite grabbing me like some of the other titles were. But I did enjoy, I enjoyed that first Hex and especially Arkham, the Arkham character.
Yeah.
I really liked that character in that first storyline. So that was
Yep.
good. And I enjoyed, like I just said, I really like that Barbary Ghost secondary story that's
Mhm.
been going on. I understand that they're going to do a Nighthawk and Cinnamon. That will be the next backup story,
Yeah.
which I'm kind of intrigued with that, but not enough for me to get the title after issue 6. But it wasn't bad. Certainly wasn't bad. All right, the final group, the Dark. Let's start with Justice League Dark.
I like this book. I like the ideas that are in the book, and there's bits and pieces of I like. Is this book a strong a book as it should be? Probably not.
No,
But I'm in love with the concept.
certainly not as strong as I thought it would be,
Right.
given the
Right.
creative team. But
Well, here's the thing. I think one of the problems is I think Milligan's a great writer, but Milligan writes stuff over a really long time,
mm-hmm.
and I don't know that translates in a superhero comic because I think editorially he's told you gotta go someplace faster than lots of times that he wants to go. And so I think some of his stuff, I think some of his stuff suffers because of that.
Well, and he's not even going to get that chance any longer. I mean, even if he had a chance to tell longer stories, he's off the title. Jeff Lemire's
but they're
coming
not going
onto
to let
it.
it. They were. I don't think they were going to let him anyway. I think that's part of it is.
Yeah.
And I like the first issue. The first issue. I think there needed to be more of what was in the first issue. The weird stuff that was happening and whatnot. I like that narrative of stuff and whatnot. The whole dealing with June thing probably took too long. Was it issue 6 I just read? I liked issue 6. Issue 6 could have just as easily been the first issue number 1.
Mm-hmm.
The characters are all having these nightmares and whatnot, and they all go to Madame Xanadu to figure out what the heck the deal is, and they find out that they all have to work together. Otherwise, if they are separate from each other, the bad stuff that they've been having dreams about, they will make happen. And so basically, they're all kind of together as much to keep each other in check as they are to deal with anything else out there that might be bad. And I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stick with this title. I'm going to stick with this title because of the concept of nothing else.
Yeah.
And I like the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's still big potential here. I don't think they've messed anything up, but I there could be more.
Yeah. Everything you just said, I would agree with on this title. I think the only thing.
So are you going to keep getting it? Even though Jeff Lemire's getting it?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So, well, yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Obviously,
some of the comments you made on Twitter about it, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, obviously, his first storyline. I'll get his first storyline. So maybe the next 6 issues, I'll get. We'll see how it goes because as we'll talk in a moment, I'm not Jeff Lemire's biggest fan. So, But I like like you say, I love the concept. I like a lot of the characters. I talked about this in the March previews episode where they solicited Black Orchid is coming back
Yeah,
into the DCU. So, and for some reason I like that character. And I'm not just talking about the reimagining that Neil Gaiman did for that one miniseries that they put out many years
which was
ago.
awesome.
Yeah, it was totally awesome, sure. But the character that was introduced before that, I think in
Hmm.
Showcase, I can't remember exactly where now, maybe Adventure Comics. Anyway, just I don't know. There's something about that character that for some reason just strikes a chord in me. So I'm glad to see that she's coming back anyway. And I like Madame Xanadu, Constantine in there. He's always fun to throw a monkey wrench into everything and cause trouble. So you have great conflict between the characters, potentially great conflict, because they really haven't shown a lot of that. I mean, issue 6 did to some
Yeah,
degree, but
yeah,
other than that, it's been just these pockets of these characters kind of interacting with the adversary of the moment. And so it'd be nice to actually get them together and see how things work.
yes. But I think this latest issue kind of does that.
Yeah, it did. So that yeah, you're right. This we could have started this title with this concept that was introduced in issue 6. And
Yep.
that may have been a better choice, but we'll see. Next on the list is Swamp Thing.
Awesome book. I absolutely love this book. This book,
Yeah.
it captures everything about an epic title. To me, it feels very, very epic. It feels that there's this huge thing, crushing on, especially with this last issue, issue 6. It just feels like there's this momentous thing out there that if something isn't done, we are all just fundamentally screwed.
Hmm.
The stuff that's building in Death Valley and just, you know, the fact that he finds out that his lover isn't just somebody who potentially is part of the bad guys, but hell, she's potentially the boss of the bad guys, even though she doesn't want to. I don't know. That the whole thing just to me feels very, very huge, very, 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 very cool. I'm excited by this book,
Yeah,
and
and
I have a hard time waiting for my order to come because, of course, I don't get my comics every week. Waiting for it to come every, on its 2 week thing. So you know, I'm always 2 or 3 weeks behind, and it almost drives me crazy with this book not to go to the stands and just buy it off the
oh yeah,
off the rack because
yeah.
I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, this is one of those surprises for me where it's like Swamp Thing. Well, yeah, I'll get the first issue, and I'll see what their new concept is because I obviously I loved the Alan Moore stories that they did many years ago. So I wanted to see what they're going to do with Swamp Thing and how they're going to reintroduce Swamp Thing into the main DCU as opposed to being in Vertigo as he was sequestered for so long. And this actually, I've talked about before how Scott Snyder has not always excited me
Hmm.
in his work. This actually, even before Batman, Travis, his work here is like, wow, this is good. I see why people talk about Snyder in such reverent tones because this is a fun read. It's got some really, like as you said, it's got some cool concepts. I can't wait to see where they're going to go with this next. I am
Yeah.
I am kind of I want Swamp Thing to actually come into the title, because it's been all about Alex, and I understand from a narrative standpoint why you'd want to develop this character of Alec Holland, who actually
Hmm.
never really was a character. Even from the very first appearance of Swamp Thing, he was just this scientist guy who ended up dying in a swamp and became the Swamp Thing. So we've really never had Alec Holland, you know, as a character. So I appreciate Snyder's developing him as a person before he becomes the Swamp Thing, which I'm sure that's what's going to happen, obviously. But I'm anxious for the Swamp Thing to actually get into the title itself,
Oh, definitely.
and I
Yeah,
think we're getting
definitely.
that with issue 7, aren't we?
Yes, yes, we are.
Yeah.
Um, this is one of those titles that I think without the relaunch wouldn't have existed, and why one of the reasons why I think the relaunch um, is a good thing.
Hmm. Well, and back to Snyder, he considers this a dream job to write Swamp Thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, in fact, did you read this, Travis? At the one of the WonderCon panels, uh, someone got up and asked if Snyder had talked to Alan Moore about him being on Swamp Thing.
Oh no, I hadn't read that one.
Yeah, and Snyder's answer was no, he has not, but he'd love to. I thought that was a very diplomatic answer.
Yeah. He actually likes what's his name before Alan Moore. Oh crap, what's his name? He edits books now.
Len Wein.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's who he gushes over.
Oh, sure. And in the same article that I just mentioned, Len Wein was also Snyder. I think it was Snyder that said that Len Wein basically gave his seal of approval to Snyder's interpretation of the character. So
yeah, on the DC site somewhere they've got a video of a not at the con video where the two of them talk together, which was kind of cool.
Okay, I should check that out. All right, here we go. Animal Man. This title sucks.
I think this is. You're
I'm kidding.
Crazy.
You're
crazy. For me, this is for me. It's not directly tied to Swamp Thing, but I mean, kind of is because they're both dealing with the same bad guys in a sense. Whereas Swamp Thing feels very epic and huge, and this giant monstrous thing rolling along. Animal Man feels very personal. The same stuff's going on, but it's very personal on a much more personal level. And I think the two work really well together. Mm-hmm. But I also think it works fine. I also think it works by itself. I mean, I know you're not so excited by the book. I think it's pretty cool. I love the concept of it. I'm looking forward to it going forward, seeing what there's going to be and whatnot. What all is in store. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about.
Yeah, Animal Man for me was kind of like I described Stormwatch was. It's like, yeah, there's some interesting things here. I'm liking it, but there's just not enough to keep me going with it. So I dropped it after issue 6. I am, however, going to be getting the annual because we get, I guess we get like a sort of an origin story about the red and the green and the rot, I guess. I don't remember exactly what the solicitation was, but I'll be getting that. And then, of course, they're going to be doing that crossover that has been long talked about since the relaunch between Swamp Thing and Animal Man. So the green, the red, and the rot, all these ideas that are being introduced in these two titles, they're going to do a crossover between the two, and so I'll be getting those issues of Animal Man just to have that story. So I like the ideas. The execution of the title itself just wasn't enough to keep me with it for now. So I'm sure I'll regret that too.
Yes, you will.
Okay, Frankenstein, Agent of Shade.
I'm still getting this title, and this is one of those titles I'm getting in hopes that it'll do something. I didn't like the first arc, the Monster Planet arc, all that much. I'm not a big fan of the artwork. I struggle with it, but I can get through most artwork if the story is interesting enough. And the whole Monster Planet thing wasn't that interesting. The last couple issues, though, have stuff in them that have me intrigued and interested. Some of the secondary characters I think are dumb. I don't think they're worth a whole lot, but some of them are interesting. There's a scientist that's kind of cool. I like the concepts. I like the concepts of the book. I love the whole ant farm. This basically this entire giant floating city that's microscopic size that's buzzing around and stuff. But this is not a title I would recommend to anybody because I don't think it potentially has stuff that might make it cool, but the first 5 issues weren't anything to be excited about for me.
And so you're still getting this because.
But I'm still getting it because in the issue number 5 there was the concept of, hey, Frankenstein, I might be able to pull the DNA off of all of your parts and figure out who and where you came from. That's interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of that could be a really interesting story. And the current story in issue 6, the slave beings, or I don't know, the created things that they have that are running the ant farm have basically revolted or taking over. That's kind of interesting. So I'm waiting to see where that goes. And then I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing what's going to be coming next. I don't know how much longer I'm going to collect this book.
Yeah, see, I only got this. I only got the first issue. Just from the strength of Frankenstein's appearance in the Seven Soldiers series that Grant Morrison did. That was it. And once I read that first issue, I was like, oh, this is not for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm struggling with the book. This is a book that's, as I was talking about with Supergirl, being one of those books that could be on the tipping edge if my daughter wasn't reading it. This one's definitely on the wrong side of that, on that scale. As more things come out that I'm interested in, this is a book that's going to fall off the wayside. Mm-hmm. Even though it's one of those books that I like the idea of, and that's what's having me hang on to it right now. And as soon as something else comes along that looks more interesting, this has a much better chance of not being on my list anymore.
Mm-hmm. All right. I, Vampire is next in the list.
I'm really enjoying the heck out of this book.
Yeah. Surprisingly so.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially that first cover, the first cover to cover number 1.
Oh, God.
Saw the solicitation for that, and I'm like, oh, no, it's going to be cutesy vampire. They got little wings or whatever. Not going to be what I'm interested in. And then I decided the last second, well, no, I know what it was. I saw some interior art for the thing, and I'm like, holy crap, this looks cool. For that first issue. Mm-hmm. Went out and bought it, read it, and went, oh, yeah, cover be damned. This looks like it could be really cool. Had a feel of a kind of a Vertigo kind of a title to it and whatnot. I've really been enjoying it. I've enjoyed the guest appearance of Constantine in it. That issue was fun. This issue last issues has had Batman in it. I like the interaction there. That's been really interesting because I've been kind of wondering, okay, when we start getting capes in here, how is this all going to work? And so far, I think it's worked. I think it's worked really well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited. I mean, I'm still curious to see how this thing works if if they run into Superman or somebody like that, one of these really powerful superheroes. How does that work? I still think that could be a really difficult story to try and tell. Mm-hmm. But so far, I've been digging it. I mean, matter of fact, the last issue they had Batman in it, and I really liked that. I thought that was great with the two of them kind of conflicted on, Bennett. There's some vampires that need to be put down and killed, and Batman's like, no, we don't kill anybody. And that was some fun stuff. I really, I'm enjoying the heck out of this book.
What do you think of the art?
I love the art.
Because what I've been hearing is I won't say a lot. Some people don't particularly care for this title because of the dark art. And I don't mean that. I don't mean that in tone, but just the actual art itself, the coloring, and it shades of darkness.
I love it all moody and like that.
Yeah, I do too. I'm just curious.
We're looking through this. No, I think I'd be a mistake. You put let's pick another artist you really like. Let's put the artist for Vertigo, not Vertigo, but I mean Voodoo.
Voodoo,
on this title.
Oh, that would not work.
There'd be some people that would look pretty, but it doesn't. it needs to have that dark atmosphere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's No, that would be a huge mistake. I love this guy's.
Yeah.
I love this guy's work. I love that it being dark and whatnot. I don't need to clearly see what's going on. I think it takes away from it. No, to me that's a mistake.
Yeah.
That would be a mistake to pull it out. That's one of the things I enjoy about the book. I like the story that's being told too, but it's being told to me through this art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this title was, again, like you said, I only picked this up because of what you said. You saw the interior art and you liked it. You described it to me like, okay, well, I'll go check out this appealing to the Twilight fans title and see what's going on. And I was impressed. So this is one of the surprises of the New 52, and I'm sticking with this one for a while.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, I think vampires are fine and all. I mean, they're cool. I like vampires for what they are, but I don't really ever wanted to read or see a vampire thing
Mm-hmm.
probably ever again, kind of a thing, just
Mm-hmm.
because it's just blah. So like I said, I was really not for this title, but I decided I could spend the money on the first issue at least. And yeah, like I said, definitely, this is definitely, like you said, one of the titles that just really a surprise,
Mm-hmm.
really a surprise.
All right. Resurrection Man.
Um, I'm getting this title also. I'm still getting this title. It has had some shaky points in it that I haven't liked a whole lot, but I like the idea of it. And they keep touching back to the concepts I like enough that I'm gonna keep reading it. Um, Also, I think um, oh, what's the artist's name? New artist that's coming on that was doing Birds of Prey.
Uh,
Jesus.
he's. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
whatever. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway,
I'll look it up. Well,
is
keep talking.
is going to be on it, and so I'm excited about that because I like his art anyway. So this last issue I read felt kind of like a filler issue more than anything else, but it was fine. But I like the whole fighting over his soul kind of thing. There's kind of two storylines going on that interest me is who is this guy really? Where did he come from? And why are other superpowered scientific beings trying to catch him for some reason? And then there's like some equivalent of heaven and hell that are both vying for the guy's soul too,
Mm-hmm.
because he doesn't die.
Yes.
So
See, yeah, there were some great concepts in this
yeah.
title, and I've talked about this before and wrote about it also on the blog. But yeah, I dropped this after six. It just wasn't enough to keep me going. I wasn't seeing a good, I don't know, a strong storyline moving forward. It was just kind of it wasn't bad, but it was just kind of there telling stories month to month, but it wasn't enough like Suicide Squad. It's just enough over the edge to
Uh,
keep me coming back. And this one, I'd had enough, but I'm sure I'll regret it because the concept, like you say, the concepts in this, the heaven and hell, the angels and demons, that kind of stuff. That's tailor made for my interest. I mean, I
uh,
tend to gravitate towards that kind of stuff anyway, but there was just something about it that wasn't quite doing it for me. So I've ended my relationship with Resurrection Man. Maybe he'll resurrect in my pull list some other time. That was awful, wasn't
that was bad.
it? All right. Final title of the dark end of our 6 month review. What a great way to go out on, because Demon Knights is a hell of a ride. Wouldn't you agree?
It's been fun. It's been fun. I didn't know what I was going to think of this title. This is one of those titles like, okay, I don't even have a clue what I'm supposed to think of this thing. And it's been a hoot. I don't, I mean, it's not a serious book. At least for me, it's not a serious book, but it's good fun. It's been a good romp and whatnot. So I don't know how long they can maintain this though. I'm really curious about that. How long can this? I mean, we basically spent what 6 months on really,
One siege.
yeah, yeah. So, but like I said, it's been fun. I'm hoping that in the story, Vandal Savage has switched sides. I'm hoping that isn't a permanent thing because he was one of my favorite characters in it.
Oh yeah.
He's just fun in the whole thing and whatnot.
I
But
much prefer the Vandal Savage and the medieval DCU as opposed to the modern Vandal Savage.
yeah,
Oh, he's
yeah.
so much
Oh, he's
fun.
hilarious. The medieval version of him is hilarious. He's just a lot of fun. So yeah, this has been a surprising book. It's been a surprising fun, just
Yeah,
good
exactly.
laugh.
It's a fun comic book. Um, I don't even care that it's set in medieval time. It doesn't have to be, not every book has to be in the modern DCU, even though you have some recognizable characters. especially if you've been reading comics as long as we have. But
Right.
just everything about this is just at the risk of sounding very repetitive, but it's just so much fun. I love the Shining Knight and the androgyny there that is supposedly going on. The Madame Xanadu playing the demon and Jason Blood against each other,
Yeah.
manipulating them into I don't know what exactly. Sometimes I think she's really wants to be with the demon. Other times I think she really wants to be with Blood. So I don't know what's going on there.
Well, yeah, I'm really curious about that.
Who else is the Amazon? I find her interesting to some degree, especially considering what happened with that one younger character that got
Right.
killed
They
because of
basically
her.
off to get slaughtered. Right.
Yeah. The horsewoman now in it. We're seeing a lot more of her.
Finally.
Finally,
That's
yeah.
one of my few pieces of it is the fact is she's pretty much been a non-character. We're just now finally starting to see
Right.
something
Right.
about her.
hmm Yeah. I'm enjoying the art. I think the art's really good for this. It's just it's I've said before or I've wrote before how Justice League was my number one book of the New 52, but Demon Knights, man, sometimes that really should be number one in my list, just because I enjoy it so much. Whereas Justice League kind of had a few ups and downs along the way in the first 6 issues. Demon Knights has been I think good every issue. So I'm really loving that. Can't wait to see what else is going to happen there, especially especially with Paul Cornell continuing on with that.
Yeah.
I really think he's the reason this book is just so much fun.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think so. His personality and whatnot comes through in it.
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
make it
definitely. So there you go. That's our look at the New 52 titles. 6 months in. We get to well, I'm sure we'll do something very similar, but on a much smaller scale when we have the new 6 titles that are coming out in a few months. We'll see how that goes. Travis, though, I did want to just kind of talk about what are your thoughts in general about 6 months into the new DC universe and these titles that we've talked about.
I think that the relaunch as a whole has been a win. For me personally as a comic book reader, and I think for DC, obviously their sales have gone up, which is great. I mean that's what they were doing it for.
And speaking of sales, going back to Aquaman outsold
every Marvel title.
Every Marvel title. Was it for the month of February? I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aquaman. There you go. Okay, go on.
Yes. Yeah, I know. I was going to bring that up because that's just sad. That's sad for Marvel. I mean, Marvel's back to capturing more of the money because their books are so damn expensive.
And they double ship everything.
Right. Yeah. And people keep buying that. That's what drives me crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that too.
I think it's a good thing. I mean, like I said, I'm still sad. There's only one fatality of the relaunch that really, well, two fatalities of the relaunch that bother me. One less so than the other. And I keep bringing it up. The Secret Six going away from the relaunch. I don't think that was,
brother.
I don't think that was necessary. I'm still mad about it, but to be quite honest, I hope they never bring it back. I mean, there's a petition still floating around out there, but I really don't want to see that title come back. I don't think they'll be able to recapture that magic that was there before. Even with Gale doing it, I don't know. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the other unfortunate one is Brian Q. Miller's backbone.
Gosh.
But the only thing I will say about it is that he got to do such an awesome and did such an awesome job with the final issue, which of course I've gushed about in other ones. That for some reason that makes that okay with me because it really had a good ending to it.
Yeah.
But no, I think as a whole, I think the whole relaunch is a win. I'm collecting more titles now than I was before the relaunch.
Mm-hmm. Well, how many
And
total are you getting out of the new 52?
I don't know. I've not counted,
Okay, I'm getting 21.
and I try not to count. I'm
Twen-
getting more than half.
yeah, yeah. So I'm getting 21, possibly 22 if I add Red Hood and the Outlaws
Yeah.
back onto the pull list. Thanks to your description of the last few issues.
Yeah, but see, and like I said, there are books here that I mean, we would have Batman wouldn't have changed. Well, it would have been a different Batman title, but I think that if we wouldn't have had the relaunch, we'd still have a Scott Snyder title. I think would still be knocking everybody's socks off. We wouldn't have. I don't think we would have had Swamp Thing. I don't think that would have existed without the relaunch. And that's like I said, I think that's just a great book. Unlike you, I think Animal Man's a great book too, and I don't think we would have seen it without the relaunch. You certainly wouldn't have had this Demon Knights thing. I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
The relaunch of Wonder Woman, I think, has been stellar also. So yeah, like I said, I think there's been some horrible failures, but I think for the company it made a huge difference.
Yeah, no, for sure. What do you think of? Well, a couple questions for you. Um, so we between the two of us, I think we read almost half. Like I said, I'm now reading 21. I was reading more than that, obviously, uh, before month 6 ended, I should say. Um, but what do you think of? So you talked about what the stuff that's going on, as far as the business side, the reality side of DC Comics, the DC universe. But what
Uh,
about the stuff? What are your thoughts about the DC universe 6 months in itself? The universe building that they've done for 6 months in these various titles.
it's very shallow. There's not a lot of depth to the universe right now, is there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there is.
Mm-hmm.
As far as a universal whole, we've got these few superheroes that we've been introduced to because we can't assume that any others exist until they tell us they exist.
Right.
And there's this underlying current of somewhat anti-alien sentiment that they've kind of pushed through
Good. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah. I
pushed through
I
most of
wanted
the
to touch on
books,
that.
which I'm fine with. I wonder sometimes if that's a build up to some event coming down the road.
Mm-hmm.
But um, yeah, I mean I don't know. I mean we eliminated how many years of history and are now rebuilding it,
Mm-hmm.
and so we took a lot out of the universe. That's where I see we're at with the universe.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to it.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I wanted to ask about that because us being older readers and having been so steeped in the previous DC universe, regardless of how many um, reboots we've been through,
Yeah.
we still had basically the same setup in the DC universe. There were,
Uh,
the tweaks that were made were mostly minor
sure.
in comparison to what's happened here.
Right.
So what we get now, and I have to admit, in about month 4 or 5, probably I think month 4, I was starting to kind of regret the relaunch because while I was still enjoying the titles in general, I guess I was kind of having I was lamenting my old DCU, and how things work there, and this is all new and it's uncomfortable, and I don't like where some of this stuff is going.
Yeah.
So in month 4, I was kind of I wasn't so keen on the new DC universe, but then issues 5 and 6 came out, and I'm starting to get a little bit more excited about things. So there's been some switch ups of the creative team. So that's at least that's movement in some fashion. Um, but mostly, looking at the DC universe as a whole, you mentioned the anti-alien thing, and that's one of the things that really bugged me. I did not like that. I don't. I don't like it right now. I don't like how all the aliens are just they're distrusted by everybody, even though they're quote unquote heroes in this universe. But it totally makes sense, right? Given our sensibilities of our reality, in our world, if we suddenly had superheroes, even 5 years ago, all these superpower people started coming out. Do you really think that we, as a whole, the world would welcome them with open arms and say thank you for being here,
No, we'd run in
alien or
fear.
not? Probably
Yeah,
not. We'd be
yeah,
distrustful. Um, we'd probably try to capture them like all the young heroes, what they're going through in the DC universe, the Nowhere group. So from that perspective, that makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, this is what I'm struggling with. At the same time, I don't want my DC universe to be like that.
sure.
I want conflict, and I want things to be difficult at times, but I don't want the world as a whole to not like our DC heroes. So there's that. The another thing that kind of bugged me is, we have all these, Red Hood, Teen Titans, in other books, we have these shadowy um, groups, out doing probably not so nice things. There's just a ton of that stuff going on, and I think we talked about that before too, where it seemed like the creators were like, "Ooh, we have our little sandbox and we can go here and here and here and do all these things," but no one was kind of really minding the playground as a whole.
Uh-huh.
And maybe not, we've got 4 shadowy groups. We don't really need a 5th one, and I don't think that was
Right.
going on. Um, so I'm looking forward to seeing where, especially Justice League, where that, because I kind of see that as kind of a cornerstone book, as
It
a
should be. Yeah.
to define the DC universe in broader strokes, I guess, because you have all the main heroes collected there to see how things are portrayed and are received by that universe's inhabitants. So we'll see how that goes. Was there anything that has surprised you about the New 52 titles, whether it be part of the story that you're reading or your buying habits, I'll say?
Well, I guess my buying habits in the sense that, I've always subscribed to the whole, it doesn't take a number one to jump onto a book. You can jump on it wherever and you just kind of read it and it just didn't take that much to figure out what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But, I am buying more books now, because they were starting out new that I probably wouldn't have.
But you
Uh,
did that. You weren't doing that because they were number ones. You were doing that because it was a new concept, right?
right,
Yeah.
right. Well, it's harder to go, hey, we're going to have a whole new concept in the middle of a,
Well, that's true.
200 run issue or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, no, I don't know that anything's really, other than like individual titles that I didn't think I was going to like. I don't think anything really, I don't think it's been that surprising.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for some things. I'm still waiting to see how this is really all going to pan out.
Mm-hmm.
Short term things have looked well, for DC, and I'm back to talking about the company as a whole. But the company has to survive and have a good livelihood for me to enjoy my books, because if it goes in the tanker,
Then
my
no more
books
books.
my books go with it, right? um, and so I'm still waiting. I mean, the numbers are still looking pretty good, but I'm curious to see when we're a year out, where are we at?
Mm-hmm.
Have they slid back? Have we permanently broken something in my old universe that we can't, we're never going to get back? And was it worth it? I guess is what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, one thing that surprised, we talked a lot about some of the titles that surprised both you and me about how well we received them. But I was looking at, so I mentioned I'm now, after issue 6, I'm now just getting 21 titles, and I'm looking. So I have this in a spreadsheet, a list of all the titles and the notes I had for what I did with them. I only got one, or I dropped it after this number, or whatever. But I have a column here of I'm collecting this one, or continuing to collect it. And so I'm looking at these, and I go, and I use X. I have X. It's blank, XX, blank, 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 for all these different titles. Well, then I get down to the Batman group, and guess what? Out of the how many titles are there? There are 11
Mm-hmm.
titles in the Batman family. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I am getting all but 4.
And how many Batman titles were you getting before
Um,
Batman Incorporated?
I would
And were you still getting like Batman and
well,
Robin before it?
I was getting Batman and Robin. I was getting Batman the Dark Knight just for that first storyline,
Uh-huh.
but it wasn't something I considered getting long term.
Right.
Well, Batgirl, but that's a different Batgirl, so I don't really count that.
Yeah.
Batwoman, well, that was relaunched with the relaunch. Birds of Prey, I was getting that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm getting 7 Batman titles. I wouldn't, you would have blown me over had you predicted that
Yeah. No kidding.
to me before this relaunch that I would be getting that many Batman titles.
No kidding.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting to me at least. And the others are just, a couple here, some there. Um, so yeah, yeah, I've been enjoying this more or less. Like I said, I have some concerns about what this new universe is like now. It's a little too antagonistic for my taste, but but again, conflict breeds good story, or can breed good story. So that's what I'm all about. I want a good story, and I'm
Right.
getting a lot of those here, and a lot of good surprises in these titles. So this has been a huge success, I think, for me at least. All right. Anything else that we want to bring up about the new 52 6 months in, Travis?
Not that I can think of.
Me either. So I think we're done.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot to talk about too.
Oh yeah.
But well, I'm sure we'll do. I know that we're going to be doing this like every 6 months or anything, but probably not. But like I said, we will be talking about the new 6 titles coming out here very soon. There's some crossover things like the between Swamp Thing and Animal Man. I'm sure we could talk about things like that. We'll do that, but I doubt this will probably be the last time we talk about the 52 as a whole, or even in chunks. So
Yeah.
there we go. Well, like I said, I think we're done, Travis. So thanks everybody for putting up with our long episodes talking about these issues. But I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did.
Yep.
You can leave feedback, or ask questions, or provide topic ideas. Either way, doesn't matter to me. But you can do that at longboxreview@gmail.com. Make sure you visit the blog longboxreview.wordpress.com. You can visit or converse with us on Twitter at longboxreview. And Travis, give them your information.
My Twitter account, if you want to talk to me there, that's where I usually respond to things quickest. Is let's see, _gaunt_man. And of course, there's always my site. You can check out my videos and stuff like that. Currently doing the 30 days of comics and whatnot. And that is over at Oddfellow's Thoughts at WordPress.com.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, Travis, because I have been really enjoying you and your son doing the 30 days of comics in video format. That has been just a lot of fun to watch. I need to get caught up again. I did a big chunk of video watching a few days ago, but it's really cool to see. And I don't mean this in a bad way, Travis, but an older reader and a younger reader talking comics and what you guys think of it. I really like that format, and people really should check it out. So make sure you go visit Travis's blog site and then watch those videos.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Well, comics are fun. How would it not be fun?
Well, wait until you get to some of the later. We've filmed all 30 days of our things now, so wait until you get to some of the later days. The kid gets a bit mouthy in places, so I can see where it might not be fun.
Well, okay. I'm still looking forward to it. But any conversation about comics, promoting comics, especially to the younger generations, I think that's a great thing. Otherwise, we might be
We're it.
the last generation.
We're it. We're it.
Your son may not have much of an opportunity to develop as the new generation of comic readers if things don't improve. So
That's for sure.
hopefully things will. Okay. All right.
Yep.
That is it for this episode. We'll be back. I think the next. Well, no, I won't. I won't predict that. We'll be back to talk more comics. That's for darn sure.
Yep.
Talk to you later, Travis.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.